episode 17, I believe, and I'm just gonna roll it right in because the Eagles got beat so bad that everybody just completely forgot that the Chiefs lost to the Packers this weekend. Because I've seen like negative press, if that like makes sense. Like I've seen zero negative press on the fact that the Chiefs lost to the Packers, which we'll get to next, but we absolutely need to start off with the 49ers Eagles game. I kind of said that the Eagles are like due for a loss. We can sit here and be like, holy shit, like the Eagles suck. The 49ers, the best team in the league. Like, I do think that the 49ers are one of the best teams in the league. I don't think that anybody didn't think that before going into this game. But everybody's pretty much like the Eagles are overrated. Let's just go into probably some situational procedures that went into probably why the Eagles didn't look as sharp as they needed to against the 49ers this week. They played an overtime game the week before to the Bills where their defense was on the field for 90 snaps and over 40 minutes. That's ridiculous, by the way, if people don't know that.
Yeah.
The 49ers had a 4-day rest advantage over the Eagles, which doesn't really get brought up too often when you're playing in these games, but rest advantage is one of the biggest indicators that all of like the strength of schedule makers kind of take into account. It's probably like one of the top 3 things that they take into account is the rest advantage that is going into the game. And the 49ers have the rest advantage over the Eagles. And lastly,
I think the Eagles have like one of the worst rest disadvantages in the league.
I think
it's
you're correct.
Pretty unfortunate.
And then the last thing I think is a fair criticism to say is the Eagles have a very weak linebacking core. That didn't help that 2 of their starting linebackers were out. I don't know how much of a difference that would have made just because of like the other stuff that I said. And they went out and got Shaquille Leonard. I'm not a big fan of that move. I don't think it changes anything, but it does give another body to throw out there to give them kind of a linebacking core by committee for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. I'll just start off with like the rest thing. There's coming into this season, everybody knew that there was going to be a point where if you look at this lineup or the schedule that the Eagles have, they were going to drop one of these games. Now, did I think it would be to the 49ers? Realistically, no, but like kind of like hindsight 2020, it probably should have been one of the games that I thought that they were going to lose. I thought they probably would have lost last week, or to the Chiefs, but regardless, I knew there would be a loss at some point in this 6-game stretch. They just didn't look great. They looked tired. They couldn't they were struggling to tackle. The linebacking core, although normally they're decent in the run game, they were pretty much ineffective in the run and the pass game this week. I think the Shaq Leonard signing, I like it from they need some depth, and it's a low risk, high reward if he does end up coming in and playing well. The Niners were the better team Sunday. That's really all there is to it. It doesn't help the Eagles that they went down the first 2 drives pretty easily and only ended up with field goals. I think that really put them in a bad spot for the rest of the game. But if you give up touchdowns on 6 straight drives, like you're pretty much cooked. So
yeah. And something that you kind of pointed out earlier in the season that I kind of swept under the rug, and I was like, it's a long year. Swift will get more carries like during those high leverage moments and in the big games. Like the way that the Eagles needed to go out and attack this game, in my opinion, was to have long sustained drives, go forward on 4th down, get the tush push going, have DeAndre Swift really establish the run, and he was nowhere to be found. They didn't really give him that many touches, which
6 rushes.
which really shocked me. And like, I felt was like a clear issue with why the game kind of went the way it went. Like, you need to have long sustained drives, keep the defense out on the field, tire the defense out. And then on the first few drives of the game, the Eagles defense was playing very well against the Niners offense, but it's kind of like how people talk about how like Bill Belichick will take away your best option on offense. Like Kyle Shanahan will essentially do that exact same thing on the offensive side of the football. Like he knows that the defensive backs can't tackle and the middle of the field was a soft spot for the Eagles. And every single chance that he had, he was getting the ball to the outside, letting his playmakers make missed tackles and make big explosive plays, and took advantage of those situations. So great offensive game plan by Kyle Shanahan. Nobody ever says that he wasn't. And then from the other side of things, like the Eagles just died out. It was over. Like you felt you finally felt like those games finally pile up on them in the second half. And yeah, it got ugly. But like you said, the better team won. And I think that it's really easy to everybody hates the Eagles. It was crazy on social media.
They get so much hate. It's the Eagles are overrated. But like it's to the point where what more I get that the Niners are a good team, but what more do they need to do? Like, do they need to beat every good team by 35 points in order to be considered a good team? Like, I don't know where the line is for what makes a good team, because if they're not a good team, then there's one good team in the NFL, and that's the Niners, and that's it. Everybody
Yeah.
else sucks.
Yeah, bro.
It happens every year. It's so stupid. It makes no sense. And I get
Dude,
like you have to
it's
be
bad.
picky when you're talking. You have to be picky when you're talking about good teams, but it just gets to the point where these guys on Twitter and on all of these talk shows just basically dismiss the fact that they're still a good football team.
Well,
It's so it makes it's infuriating.
it makes absolutely zero sense, because you go back to 2 years ago when the Bengals had their run. In the first game against the Titans, they were 6.5 point underdogs to the Titans, and everybody in the media space, Warren Sharp, everybody who has a respected opinion, picked the Titans to handle the Bengals. They lost. They played against the Raiders in the wild card. Everybody picked the Raiders. They lost. The next game they played the Titans. The Titans had a bye week. They were a first round bye. They played them. Everybody picked the Titans to win. The Bengals won. Nobody took that Bengals team seriously until they got to the AFC Championship and they won. So you don't know who the best team is. The best team could be whoever. Everybody thought the Bengals were going to be the best team. I mean, the Chiefs were going to be the best team that year, and the Bengals went and knocked them out. So there's just so many indications that could happen throughout the course of a season, and one game doesn't define it. That's why I kind of brought up some of those factors that I think played a part in why the game swung that way. And we talked about it. I mean, you stayed 10 toes down with the Eagles because that's your favorite team. But I mean, realistically, like I felt like everybody kind of felt like the Eagles were down or due for like a letdown game. Like it was time, and it happened.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not glad that it happened to the Niners, because I can't stand those guys. They talked all that shit all off season, and I mean they did back it up, but
They stood on bro.
they did.
As
They
much
did.
as you don't like the Niners, first off, getting to see Deebo Samuel get into that mode is amazing, because he is an electric player, and he should get pissed off at every single team that he plays, because he was fucking dialed this weekend, and it was fun to kind of watch him round back into like prime Deebo shape and like really lock in. So I mean, bro, their playmakers are amazing. Like they stood on business this weekend. They went
I
into Philly and fucking throttled them. Like there's definitely something to be said about that, but I also don't think that it's like the end of the world.
No, and I just hate that it was the Niners because of all the shit talking that they did. Like I said, but they backed it up. So, props to them. We'll see them again in the playoffs. But the thing that like all of these media personalities keep forgetting is the Eagles are still first in the division, or still
Yeah,
first
first
in
in
the
the NFC.
NFC. They have a game against Dallas, and then it's Dallas, Seattle, and then Giants, Cardinals, Giants. Like the Eagles are still in a great spot to hold on to that number one seed. They need to tighten things up on defense going into this game against the Cowboys. But I mean, even if they lose to the Cowboys and then win out, they still get the number one seed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're as shitty as they are apparently. They're still in a good spot.
And I mean, any of these teams can lose. What happens if the Niners go out and lose next week? Is everybody going to freak out? Probably. But
They play the Ravens, and the Ravens are a top team in the AFC.
yeah, so I mean, anything can happen. I think that this is kind of a good segue point because I wanted to bring this up, but we'll bring the Chiefs up later. I saw LaShawn McCoy tweet. He just said, "No hate, but what do the Jags see in T-Law? All this crazy hype for no reason." What? And then like I see like people on X like T-Law is so trash, blah blah blah. Like what? I guess like my question is for like everybody out there, and I've said this multiple times this season. I don't think people like watching football like at all. Like I think that it's like more of like a trend to like football than like actually like watching the game and enjoying it because what are you expecting out of quarterback play at this point? Because now it's getting like a little bit overblown where it's like every quarterback sucks. T-Law went 22 for 29, 258, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions last night. I mean,
And if
he
he
got
doesn't
hurt.
get hurt, they win that game, I think.
Okay, and hurts his ankle, sucks. That's my guy. But like, what what are they supposed to do? Like, I'm confused. Why is everybody on Patrick Mahomes' dick? But during an absolute must-win moment last week, he throws a bad pick to a Green Bay Packers defender, and then on the game-winning drive does absolutely nothing. Like, I don't understand like what people are expecting out of quarterback play, and it just kind of goes back to my point where like I just don't think people like football, and I think the trend is to like football and like betting and fantasy and all that. But like, what are you expecting out of quarterback play? I guess, or elaborate on my point.
I mean, this goes back to my point earlier about how every even if it goes back to my point about how every team sucks and nobody's good. It's the
Yeah,
same conversation with quarterbacks. And if you don't go out there every week and fucking put up 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, like you're not good. And that's not realistic to ask of any quarterback ever. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are the arguably the two best quarterbacks ever, and those guys are not doing that week to week. Like it's so difficult to win in the NFL, and it's so difficult to be so good that I think the fact that these guys that have had superb years in years past are like we have gotten to the point where we kind of take that for granted and expect that to happen every year where that bar is set so high for those guys and for some of these quarterbacks that if you're not hitting that every year, yeah, sure, it's a down year to a certain extent, but like in the grand scheme of quarterback play, it's still good. Like it's very confusing to me because you go out there and we watch these guys every week and we know who we would say is a good quarterback and who's not. And I think it's pretty evident that Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback in the NFL.
yeah, and I don't like, and this kind of goes back to like a conversation that we have often where it's like, okay, that's great. He might not be like an A plus tier quarterback, which like I would argue that he probably is pretty damn close. Like, then what do you want to do? Send him off as a backup and then like take another one in the draft? And then what happens if that guy sucks in the draft? Like, because more than likely he's going to, because that's the way it works out. So, like, I just don't see like what I guess I'm just very, very confused on what like media personalities and like the people on Twitter or whatever are like genuinely, truly expecting out of quarterback play on a week-to-week basis that will make them happy. Every single game is not going to have 30 points scored in it. That's not how the NFL works, especially this year. So like what else are I guess I'm confused, and it's getting to the point now where like what the fuck is Shady McCoy talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence's stats right now, and he's top 10 in passing yards. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in completion percentage. Hold on. He's like right around like probably he's middle of the pack for passing touchdowns, but like Travis Etienne's pretty good at running back, so like that's never a bad thing. He's got 7 interceptions and a quarterback rating of 94.4, which is like right up there, probably
Yeah.
like 12, 15.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like on a week to week basis, like you are able to get top 10 quarterback play out of Trevor Lawrence most weeks. So like what do you want? Like it's either that or you're like never gonna have a quarterback. Like I don't
Like,
know what
would you rather just draft a new quarterback every single year or have Trevor Lawrence or take somebody else? Because you're not getting Jalen Hurts, you're not getting Patrick Mahomes, you're not getting Josh Allen, you're not getting Dak Prescott. So you're not getting Joe Burrow, you're not getting Lamar Jackson. So who else do you want?
Okay, but real quick, when
I'm
we'll
not asking
kind of
you. I'm just
yeah, I
asking like
know.
the haters that
I'm
don't.
segueing into the Chiefs Green Bay game right here. Game on the line, they need to go down and make a drive, and Patrick Mahomes throws a pick to a defender in a must-win situation. So, like, I didn't see any negative press about Patrick Mahomes in that situation. The only thing I heard about was, oh, well, like his wide receivers aren't that good. So, like, what is he supposed to do? This is a bad supporting cast around him. Like, blah blah blah. This, that, and the third. Well, I personally think that you can look around at this supporting cast and almost say, like, okay, like, what's different? They have Rashid Rice over Juju Smith-Schuster. I think that's an upgrade. Everybody else is pretty much the exact same on this team, and they have a better defense. What's the issue with the supporting cast? I guess is my main like question in this whole scenario, because that's all you hear on a week to week basis is, well, Patrick Mahomes supporting cast is like one of the worst in the league. Well, they won a Super Bowl last year, and the main move that they made was getting rid of Juju Smith-Schuster, and they got Rashee Rice. And I think everybody kind of thinks that Rashee Rice is like kind of coming on a little bit.
Yeah, I think Rashee Rice has been playing well these past few games, but I don't think it's a question that the supporting cast isn't that good. Now, obviously, looking back to last year, it's probably comparable to that same team, but even that supporting cast, I don't think was great. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs were the ones that made this decision to not bring in um, even a middle of the road receiver. Like they've got Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez Scantling, Justin Watson, is that his name? The white
Yeah.
bull. Like that's their own fault. And Mahomes also has, I would imagine, some say, like, hey, maybe get me a guy that's like a little bit better. Like I understand like they went and drafted Rashee Rice, but you can't expect a rookie to come in right away that you draft the third, fourth round and
Well, and
like be
also
that
like,
guy.
and also you trade a second round pick for Kadarius Toney and don't use him, don't play him. It seems like they have no interest in really. It looks like he doesn't even know how to play football right now. And then on top of that, like you still have the greatest tight end of all time on your team, some would say, and he looks completely disinterested on a week to week basis. So I don't know whose fault that is or whoever. Like even on that last drive when I had Mahomes to throw for all I needed in a parlay was for Mahomes to throw 225 passing yards, which Well, guess what? It didn't hit, and nobody said a fucking word about that, which I feel like is an extremely hittable number for Mahomes. And on the last drive, I thought he was going to be able to get to that number. And I was watching Kelsey because I was like, oh, Kelsey's probably going to make a play here. They used him as a blocking decoy, and then he was just like trotting out on the flat and like showing zero effort with the game on the line. So I don't know what's going on from like a locker room standpoint with them, or like a scheme standpoint, but like I just watch their offense on a week to week basis, and Travis Kelsey doesn't get nearly as many targets as he did last year. He's not making nearly as much of an impact, and I think that plays a big role in it. You're getting a lot of production from the run game, but like other than that, like this team just like looks like everyone's off.
I think that defending defenses and defending DCs have finally figured out, hey, we're going to make one of these other receivers beat us because we know they aren't good, and we're going to do all that we can to take away Travis Kelsey. Good luck, Patrick. And I think it finally caught up to the fact that they don't have like a guy at receiver that really scares any defense. Now, and it's not to say Rashee Rice won't get there, but at this point, none of those guys bring any fear to you as a defensive coordinator.
I guess, but this is what I'm trying to figure out. This is if you look at the team last year, this is the exact same team practically.
Yeah, like, I'm saying I think defensive coordinators finally figured out a way.
You don't think defensive coordinators last season were like, how do we stop Travis Kelsey? Because I guarantee that was a conversation that was had on a week-to-week basis.
I think they were, but I think after having so much film and not having to worry about these other receivers, you're like, you can really commit to doubling, bracketing, and all these other types of things, as opposed to like a year when they had Tyreek Hill where you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And now last year could have just been an anomaly, right? Like Mahomes played out of his mind, and Mahomes just isn't playing at that level. And we're seeing the repercussions of Patrick Mahomes not playing like Superman and dealing with a team that's dropping passes at a higher rate than like anybody else.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a combination of those three things.
I just think that like, I guess I'm just like a little aggravated on multiple levels, because I just feel like everybody loves to comment on other teams and other quarterbacks and nitpick every little thing on a week-to-week basis, but nobody said a word about Patrick Mahomes when they didn't score a second half point in almost 2 months. And then Patrick Mahomes makes a key mistake in a must-win moment and don't hear a peep out of anybody. And then they lose to the Packers, and they lost. Like, I know that everybody was like, oh man, like that was a bullshit no call on that pass interference. Well, you know, it was a bullshit call when Patrick Mahomes was in bounds and he got cracked on the sideline while standing in bounds, and they gave him 15 yards for that. So in my eyes, they made it right. They did a no call right there and kind of erased the mistake. But other than that, like, if you're putting yourself in those situations for that being the way that you need to win, that's your fault. That you guys did not properly manage this game and honestly got the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah, and I mean, props to the Packers. They look pretty good. Jordan Love has looked really good these past couple weeks, and he went out there and he's been putting it all together. My Christian Watson touchdown bet already hit, nice, which is cool. He looked great. I think he's starting to look like the guy that people thought he would. And I mean, the Packers has played really well.
He's Packers Will Fuller Jr.
I don't know if that's a good thing, because Will Fuller had 3 good years and then just couldn't stay healthy, and then he was gone.
Well, I just think that
he's a bigger Will Fuller.
I think Christian Watson is like the definition of just like a deep threat wide receiver. Like that's what he's going to be really good at. Like, I think that there's going to be some other guys on that offense that might get more targets, but like from a big play perspective and like yards, like I think that like he might be that guy in the years coming.
And that's huge, obviously, having a guy that you can just say, "Hey, run deep. We're gonna throw to you. Go make a play." It's great having a guy like that, as well as a mixture of. They have a couple other like pretty. They're super young,
Yeah.
but they have a couple other young receivers that have really stepped up. Like,
Jalen Reed.
yeah, they've looked really good, and they've really figured it out these last couple weeks here. So
Yeah.
props to them.
You wanted to take back our take from the beginning of the season when we did a redo, and I was like, not so fast. I think the Packers can still make the playoffs, and you look at the rest of their schedule, and it looks like that they're going to be a playoff team for sure.
Yeah, I will. I will take that back. They're 6-6 right now. Third in the NFC North. They've got Giants, Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, Bears. So that's 5 pretty winnable games.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Okay. I don't know if somebody who personally knows DK Metcalf found this podcast and took the clip and literally sat down in his locker and
Hey, look at this.
and showed him the clip, and he was just like, bet. No, I'm kidding. I mean, obviously that was said last week, and then DK like goes out and like snaps, so it's so funny. But
Yeah.
I bet on the Seahawks the last 2 weeks. I bet on them against the Rams, and then I bet on them against the 49ers on Thanksgiving. Against the Rams, they absolutely blew it. They missed a game-winning field goal, and they looked awful in the second half, and Gino's elbow was messed up. Then the next week, Andrew Ford's like, dude, like, you really think that the Seahawks at home aren't going to cover 7 points? So I take them again. They get shit pumped. I'm like, the Seahawks are awful. I just watched them back-to-back weeks. They look uninspired. Their defense sucks. Their offensive line is terrible. They can't get the run game going. And then on Thursday night against the Cowboys, for some reason, Geno Smith is completely healthy. They get one guy back on the offensive line, and their offensive line looks like one of the best in the league. Zach Charbonnet like has like a career game, and then DK Metcalf has like a legacy game. So have no idea like how that works. And that's kind of like what we always talk about, like with the NFL, where it's like, wow, like how does this happen on a week-to-week basis? Yeah, it happened to me last week where how the fuck did that happen?
That's what we love about sports. Anybody can win on any given day. And I mean, even the Seahawks didn't win, but they looked dead, and they hit us with the Undertaker popping up meme.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't complete the job, but they looked significantly better. I thought they were going to win that game. It sucked that they didn't, but I think that's a big game for them moving forward. And even though they lost, but they still have a chance. Obviously 6-6, but I mean, I'm pulling up their schedule right here. They've got, out of the next 5, they've got probably 3 winnable. Like the last 5, it's Niners, Eagles, Titans, Steelers, Cardinals. So like they're going to need some things to bounce their way these next couple weeks, but they have a good chance to win probably 3 out of these 5 games, somewhere in there.
Fair.
But yeah, DK Metcalf went. So when he scored, was it that first touchdown, and he did the sign language of standing on business?
Yeah.
That was fucking hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a clip of Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura's podcast called Two Bears, One Cave. And I guess Bert went to like a Seahawks practice or something, and he met DK Metcalf, and he was like, DK, what are you going to go do after this? And DK was like, I'm going to go home and practice sign language. And then this week, this week, I see him do the celebration, and I'm like, this fucking guy was practicing a touchdown celebration. That's so badass. That was sick. But yeah, he went crazy. That's like, he doesn't need to do that every week, but like, that's what we're expecting, things more along those lines from a guy like him.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus, about time he showed
6
up for
134 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. He showed up. Good for him. I'm happy for him. Yeah, it was just fun. Timing is so funny. And I was so out on the Seahawks. Like
And now
Like
you're
it
back.
was like I was so down on the Seahawks because the last 2 weeks, and then of course this happens.
This was such a big game for like same game parlays, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
I feel like a lot of people that I talked to had so many different same game parlays, like Pollard, Metcalf, Geno for X amount of yards, Dak for X amount of yards, CD touchdown. Like this was
Everything
a
hit.
prime time same game parlay game.
Yeah, everybody scored, everybody had yards. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
The next game is that I want to talk about, and the next team, and we won't spend a ton of time on it, but the Patriots might be the best tankers of all time
Yeah.
because over the I forget the exact stat, but over the last 3 weeks they haven't allowed more than 10 points, and I don't think it's happened since 1938. Where a team has given up that little of points and haven't won a game. This kind of goes back to our original conversation that we had last week about coaching changes. I don't think Bill is gone in New England. At least I don't think so. It seems like him being I think that everybody can kind of sit here and look at the Patriots cast and the defense without Matt Judon and without Christian Gonzalez, and to do what they're doing on a week to week basis, like it's kind of impressive, honestly. Like they're getting a lot out of these players, which like they're pretty much playing for nothing at this point. And on top of that, like their offense is so bad that like to be able to have the defense still buy in at a high level on a week to week basis, like I do think that means something.
Yeah. So they lost 10-6 to the Colts, 10-7 to the Giants, and 6-0 to the Chargers. That's
Chargers
insane.
suck.
That's insane. But
Yeah.
I would say that the Patriots are probably the best team at making the most out of very little. Like there's nobody on that defense that is like there's nobody in that defense now at least where you're like,
Yeah.
dang, we gotta prepare for this
Their
guy or he's
best
gonna wreck
players
the whole game.
their best players like Jabril Peppers, who's been literally passed all over the league.
Yeah, and for them to only give up 26 points in 3 games, it's and nobody scoring more than 10 it's impressive. So, I mean, they still are god awful on offense,
So
but
bad.
it
And they
it is
lost
what
from
it is.
they
There's
lost from Andre Stevenson.
yeah, that hurts me pretty badly, but we move. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Chargers though are so bad.
so bad.
I know that they have a very bad drops problem too, and poor Justin Herbert, man. I feel bad for him.
They're bad, but I do think that the Patriots are priming themselves to get one of those top 2 picks and to land one of those quarterbacks, and I think getting to land one of those quarterbacks is going to be very important for the remainder of Bill Belichick's tenure with the Patriots. So something to keep an eye on. I think that they're the best tanking team in the league to be able to kind of mask the fact that they're tanking and not be able to put up points, but also playing competitive. So good for the Patriots. Really bad for the Chargers. I was kind of, even though it was like rainy and shit like that, I was hoping that they would do something on offense, like a little, like more than 6 points. I will give one big props to the Chargers for not paying Austin Eckler because he is so washed. It's insane. He can't really run the football at all. He's going to really be a third down back on a team for the years coming. Like if you kind of remember like how the Patriots had kind of like James White and shit like that,
Mhm.
that's kind of like where I'm kind of what's reminding me of Austin Eckler at this tenure. He might have a little pop more now and then, but he doesn't look very good, honestly.
No, 14 rushes for 18 yards. That's not getting it done. And this isn't the first time this year where he hasn't played well. He's been super super disappointing, even from like a fantasy standpoint, but even more so from just a Charger standpoint. So good for them for not paying him. It's a really tough spot when you are the guy that sort of leads the pack in trying to get running backs paid, and then you put up a season like this. And now I get he got hurt, but it's not looking great.
Mm-mm. Next game, I think it's officially time to say like the Lions just aren't there. You go out against the Saints. The Saints suck. I think everybody kind of agrees on that. And you go up 21-0 right away. And I'm like, holy shit. Like they're up, like it was quick. Like 21-0 in the first half. I was like,
It was like
damn.
21-0 with 8 minutes and like 11 seconds left in the first quarter.
Yeah, I was like,
it was
dude,
crazy.
I was like, the Lions might put up 41 points against the Saints, and then
at half they could have. They almost
they stall out a lot. They allow the Saints to put up 28 points, and the end of the game was 33-28. This Lions team is a lot further off than like what people kind of expected, I think. I can't imagine them going up against a legitimate team in the playoffs and coming out with a victory, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, if we're being honest, the like the NFC, the top teams are Eagles, Niners. I mean, it's just not the Lions are up there, but the Lions also feel like they could lose to the Cowboys are up there, but the Lions also are in a spot where I feel like they lose to all three of those teams. They lose to the Seahawks.
I think they lose to the Packers in the playoffs.
I'm just going through the games from Sunday. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they lose to the Packers too. Like they're probably the last team that I would be betting on as far as like they'll make the playoffs, but as far as winning a playoff game, I wouldn't feel great about them. They realistically could get smoked by a lot of these teams. They can't play any defense. Like they were basically trying to lose that game to go up 21-0. And obviously the Saints are still an NFL team too, but to go up 21-0 and it pretty much come down to the wire is
crazy.
Just being disinterested in finishing off the game. And that's feels uncharacteristic from like Dan Campbell, who's just like a step on their throat and like don't give them any air type of guy. And they're very good at giving teams air. Like they're just giving every opportunity for anybody to come back into a game.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, I think if you're a Saints fan, like we don't root for injuries, but you might low-key be happy that Derek Carr's hurt.
They hate him.
He is brutal to watch.
They hate him, bro.
I think Chris Olave might have like when you saw the video of him in the post game, right? Like he was definitely texting the other receivers and being like, "Thank God, bro! Like we got Jameis in there now. Like Jameis is gonna do. Jameis could put up the same exact stat line that Derek Carr does, except and still lose. But you're gonna have way more fun watching, and you're gonna have way more fun as a wide receiver because he's actually gonna sling it around.
Yeah, for sure.
Now he's gonna throw it. He's definitely throwing it right to a linebacker on a middle crossing route, but like that's Jameis.
I'd rather have a quarterback who's not afraid to make mistakes and try to push the ball downfield than whatever the hell Derek Carr's doing, but whatever.
Is Derek Carr like low-key a dickhead, do you think? I feel like he might be. Like he comes off like a good guy to the media, but in the locker room, he might low-key be a dickhead.
It seems like nobody likes him. Michael Thomas had those tweets about him during the game. And then Chris Olave had like that famous, like, what did you think about the fans booing and him like literally like cracking a big ass smile? Like,
yeah. Sometimes
he just doesn't seem very liked, but yeah, you're right.
Which is weird because like I said, he comes across as a very like nice guy, but he seems like he could be a sneaky dickhead to his teammates. Like he just seems like he might not like think he's better than everybody, but also not like a Russ, but I don't really have like a comparison for him, but maybe just kind of like unintentionally talking down on guys is kind of how I see it.
I think that he's like maybe in like a little bit of like denial about like where he's at like this point in his career, and I think that like that could rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, I could see that.
Breaking news: Tim Boyle's been released from the Jets. The Jets Falcons game this weekend was maybe one of the worst all year.
Horrible.
Tough loss for the Jets getting rid of Tim Boyle.
Are they going to recover?
But they're bad. I mean, I'll keep it quick. I'm done with the Jets. Like, you guys are terrible. You guys aren't making the playoffs. They came out this week and said Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play this year. We already reported that 4 weeks ago. We're all over that. Yeah,
I'm so glad that they finally came out and admitted that it's not happening.
Yeah, the Jets are terrible. Stop with the storylines. And it was a fun thought in the preseason, but that is so long ago and such a crazy thing how much hype they had going into the season and how bad it's been. So poor Jets, but we talk about them a lot, so we can move on. One of my favorite things that happened in a very long time was getting to watch the Arizona Cardinals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend in Pittsburgh in a rainy game. Kyler Murray showed up. He played a very well-rounded game, I feel like. Yeah, I mean, what's better than that? Like, what's like, if you think that the Steelers are fraudulent, which they are, you go and you lose to one of the worst teams in the NFL at home. And like, Kyler made some big plays. He had a big play to Rondale Moore that got called back. But yeah, I mean, I love this Cardinals team. I said last week that I low-key like them to win outright, and they went into Pittsburgh and won outright.
Yeah, I think this was the James Conner game. 25 rushes, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Trey McBride put up some numbers too, who's been getting hot lately. 8 for 89 and a touchdown.
Bro,
he won me a bet too. He's been sick.
I have him in fantasy, and he's like the X factor right now for me in fantasy.
Yeah, he's been great for them. And I think he's just going to keep getting better as long as, like, the more that him and Kyler play together, I think it'll just start getting better. But this game's fucking sucked. The huge delay in the very middle was just terrible.
Two delays.
Sorry. Horrible. I mean,
I loved it.
It was so bad. It was so bad. But yeah, Kenny Pickett goes down. We got to see Mitch Trubisky come in there. I just don't know what the Steelers are. The Steelers signed Trace McSorley, so they might be back.
Yeah,
but
definitely
they're just in a bad spot as far as offense goes. I mean,
I hate them.
Now that I sit here and say this, Mitch Trubisky, you'll probably turn it back to like 2012 2018 when the Bear, like, he had like an MVP type season. He'll probably show up and play like that because we just sat here and shit on him. But
true. Yeah,
they're in a bad spot.
Bro, there's a text circulating of Spencer Gay and Andrew Ford. Andrew was like, "Who's even calling your guys' plays?" And Andrew was like, Andrew and Sprack said who, and Andrew's like, "You guys needed to make a move with the Dirty Birds coming into town next week." And he goes, "We're not worried about you guys literally at all." And then you get smoked. And honestly, that last touchdown that Deontay Johnson scored, where he danced for 1 minute and 25 seconds in the end zone, you guys got smoked. It felt good. The Steelers are I think the Steelers have maybe the most annoying fan base in the entire NFL. Like, I think it's like way worse than, like, I can tolerate the Cowboys fans. I can tolerate the Niners fans, like, because like they actually have good teams. Like, the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't done shit in a long time, and they're just fucking annoying.
Yeah, I don't understand what the hell Deontay Johnson was doing. Like, did he just not realize that they were getting aired out? And he just wanted his moment? Like, that was like back when Juju Smith-Schuster used to make TikToks for the Steelers, that was equivalent to one of those type of moves.
Yeah, yeah. It's
so
bad.
That was so stupid. And you look like an asshole, especially after last week when you didn't even try to recover a fumble, you dick.
Yeah, I just think that, like, that team is just like down bad. Like, I don't think that I don't think that they're a team that like has something built for like long-term success. Like I can see a lot of their guys wanting to get out of there. They seem very selfish, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. And I just don't think they fuck with Tomlin, honestly.
They have a lot of guys hurt too, and somehow they're still have it like they still have a good chance to make the playoffs, which is infuriating. Like they Sayamalu, their offensive guard is hurt. TJ Watt's playing through an injury. Kenny Pickett's hurt. They just lost one of their linebackers. Like they're full of injuries, but yet they're what, second place in the AFC North.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're in the AFC, I said it last week, like somebody, I forget who it was, like they were like, you don't want to play that Pittsburgh team in the playoffs. I was like, that's exactly who I want to play in the playoffs. So if that's the case, like, yeah, like give me that team. So like
Who did the Steelers have these like comeback wins against? I'm trying to look back at it, but I can't remember
the
exactly which game. Bad.
Titans, they had one. I forget. There was a few bad ones.
The Browns, maybe.
I don't remember.
They played the Raiders, the Texans. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Rams, lost to the Jags, beat the Texans, beat the Packers, lost to the Browns, beat the Bengals, lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah, fuck the Steelers. The next game on this week was probably one of the most electric games, was the Colts and the Titans. Did you watch that game?
Yeah, I was watching that game. It wasn't on. I kind of I had that on like Red Zone, so it was popping up. I mean, pretty frequently. But it wasn't a game that I saw every play in. I know that the Titans the Titans punter got absolutely jacked up the one play. I think the Colts blocked 2 punts.
They blocked 2 punts and it went into overtime and they lost. And then the Titans actually fired their special teams coordinator first thing this morning. So
I had the Colts and the Chargers money line, and the Titans missed a field goal in OT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they made it. They made it, and then
or did they miss it towards the end of the game?
No, they missed it at the end of the game.
Like in regulation.
Yeah, and then the Titans go down, kick a field goal, and then the Gardner Minshew's fighting Gardner Minshew's went down and scored a touchdown and round out the game.
That's right. Michael Pittman had a hell of a game.
Big game. And I mean, I don't know if there's any other games that like you want to touch on. I don't really have anything else. I mean, unless if
I just wanted to shout out Mike Evans. 10 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
Yeah, he's good
in a row. Yeah, that's pretty much. I feel like we didn't like talk about the Bengals. Like that game last night was huge for them. And do I think they can keep this up? Probably not, because I don't think that Jake Browning is going to play out of his dick like he did last night, and the starting quarterback get hurt for every single team. But that was a huge win for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. That it ruined my whole night. First off, having to watch C. Kirk go down on the first play ruined my night. Like, first off, I was like, when that happened, I was like, fuck, like he was gonna snap tonight. Like you could just feel it, like that first play, like, and then the next play he goes, and then in the fourth, like T-Law hurts his ankle. I'm just like, what a shit show of a fucking Monday night game. Their first Monday night game in like what fucking 60 years or something like that. And like you lose 2 of your best players. Like it made me sick to my stomach. I didn't even watch the end of the game, honestly, when T-Law went down.
Parker Washington stepped in and played really well, though, I will say.
Yeah.
Penn State guy, so giving him his flowers there. I think he had 6 for 61 and a touchdown. Almost muffed a punt, but
Yeah, he had
It
a
is
good
what it is.
touchdown.
Yeah.
I guess probably the next thing that I think we should probably talk about is the college football playoff, because obviously, like, you have to, because it was like a big point of contention this week. And if you want to like go ahead, like, let me know what you think.
So I want to start this off by saying that the entire system is so poorly laid out that it almost feels like this was really bound to happen eventually. Like, I know every year there's a fan base or some people that are like, oh, this team should have made it in over this team, but this was realistically the first year that um, there was a lot of contention, a lot of people upset about how the things laid out. And what what did people expect to happen when the playoff committee said, yes, we're going to have 4 playoff spots for when there's 5 Power 5 conferences? Like, that's a recipe for disaster, and that is what we saw this weekend. Um, I don't I think that Bama, Washington, Michigan, and Texas all 100% deserve to be in it. I don't know how I feel about this last spot being Alabama, just because Florida State did everything that they possibly could have. They went undefeated and they won their conference championship. Um, there's no other games that they could have done. They beat 2 SEC teams. Like, it's a tough spot. I don't know if I agree or disagree with them putting Bama in, but because I don't think it's an easy choice, because obviously Bama wins the SEC and probably has the second best win overall in the season, but it's just a mess.
So what I personally think is, I don't understand how you don't put Florida State in, just based off of the previous precedents set in the college football playoff, when Ohio State was put in a very similar situation to this, when JT Barrett got hurt. And then who was their backup? It was
Cardale Jones.
No, it wasn't Cardale. It was somebody else. Cardale was the third string.
JT Barrett?
Who was the first string? Braxton Miller?
Yeah.
So Braxton Miller went down.
Team, yeah.
Yeah, Braxton Miller goes down. Then it's JT Barrett. JT Barrett goes down, and then it's Cardale Jones. So they were on their third string quarterback. So in my head, I was like, well, the playoff committee has dealt with a situation like this in the past. And the way that they handled it was put that team into the playoff, regardless of the quarterback position. So I felt like Florida State would have been that team in. And I was shocked. I was really shocked that it wasn't. And I was kind of upset because of kind of like what you said. And yeah, I mean, bro, like, this is like, I like watching college football on a week to week basis, but this is like my big issue with college football. I just think it's so flawed. And like, I think that it's like just like a bunch of bullshit and like a bunch of technicalities that like don't really make too much sense, because even in my head, like, I don't really see how you put Bama in over Georgia, which Georgia's only loss on the season was to Bama on a neutral field by 1 possession. So I guess I don't really understand that aspect of it either. I understand they won, but like, you didn't put the team who won their conference in the playoff anyway. So it would be the difference if they didn't put Bama in. I guess I just like don't really understand it, but I mean, whatever.
No, I don't. I'm right there with you. Like, it pretty much seems like the only guarantee that you have of making it to the college football playoff is if you're a Power 5 team that goes undefeated, wins your conference tournament, and stays healthy. Those are like the 3 things that are a guaranteed you make it to the college football playoff. Anything outside of that is, it almost seems like it's just a free for all. I don't know how they make the decisions. I don't like, is strength of schedule involved? Is health actually involved? Is like win margin involved?
Because I'm even like looking at this right now, like looking at like the teams, like I think probably the worst loss out of all of those teams. Like obviously Michigan and Washington are in. I have no issue with that at all. Like everybody thought Washington would get beat by Oregon twice. They went and beat them. Don't have any issues with that. They went
undefeated conference champion.
Yeah,
Same with Michigan.
They both are in there. Then from my point of view is Texas lost to Oklahoma. So in my head, that's probably the worst loss on any of these like schedules for the top people, let's say. So for me personally, if it was me, I would have Washington, Michigan, Washington. Then I would have Florida State in that spot where Oklahoma is. And I don't think that.
You mean where Texas is?
Yeah, where Texas is. And then for the fourth spot, like I said, I think that it's still Georgia because I don't think that a loss in a neutral setting by one possession is a big enough deal to just completely eliminate you after dominating the entire season. So that.
But what about Texas? They had a loss against Oklahoma wasn't that game at a neutral site?
But like I said, I think losing to Oklahoma is a worse loss than losing to Alabama.
I think they also, like, I'm guessing here because I don't know what the parameters are, but they also take into account where the team was at as far as how like quality at that point in the season. So like at the beginning of the year, more people were higher on Oklahoma and people thought Oklahoma was going to be better and they were playing better as opposed to where they finished. And I think that's the same thing that happened to Alabama too, because Alabama played like shit for like 3 games and still won. Like that game against South Florida when they were just flopping every quarterback that they had around, like that game was really bad. But and I get it, they still ended up winning, but the loss to Texas, like that is a completely different Alabama team, but you look at it now and Texas still won. Like it's
even like the quote unquote like rules that you just said, like you were like they look at like where that team was at that time. So Oklahoma beat Texas, whatever. Then everybody was down on when did they play Alabama? They played them right away in the beginning of the season, beat them 34-24. But at that point in the season, Alabama was like benching quarterbacks, starting different quarterbacks. So like they were kind of all over the place. So you could view as Alabama being down. Then you lose to Oklahoma. It just makes no sense. It's just a flawed system. Like we're sitting here talking this out, and the only thing that is in my head is it's a flawed system.
You could make a case for legitimately 1 through 3, 4, 5, and 6 to be in it.
Well, and Penn State, did you see Adam's tweet?
I didn't, but like I'm pissed off that you just said that.
I gotta find it. Go ahead. What were you saying?
They lost 2 games and they lost. I was gonna say before sorry, you actually have me flustered now. You could make a case for 3, 4, 5, and 6 to all be in it. But I look at this Georgia team and I'm like, they didn't have like a signature win throughout this season, and they didn't win their conference championship, and they had 1 loss and they weren't a conference champion. Why do they deserve to be in over 4 other teams that won their conference championship? 3 of them also having, 2 of them having 1 loss, 1 team being undefeated.
Because I think that like at least like Georgia, like I just think like name brand matters. They have been absolutely dominating for a long time, and then their only loss was on a neutral field. Like that's why I think that way, is because like I don't think the loss to Alabama in the SEC championship is a bad loss. Like that's a high stakes game against one of the best coaches to ever coach in college football, with a team who is like on an absolute fucking tear to end the season. Like they even like how they beat Auburn last week on like 4th and goal from the 30 on a Hail Mary. Jalen Milroe rips an absolute piss missile to the corner of the end zone. It's just like, holy shit. Like this team, they were just hot.
Right, but I'm comparing this Georgia resume to Alabama, who they just lost to in the conference championship, Florida State, who is an undefeated conference champion, and Texas, who beat the SEC championship SEC champion that Georgia just lost to, who was also a conference champion. I
Yeah.
don't think Alabama has or Georgia has anything that they can hang their hat on as far as this season, and that's all that should be taken into account. I understand they've been very dominant the last few years, and that's great, but
I just think
that shouldn't be taken into account. Unfortunately, it does sometimes,
I
but
just don't think the conference championship should matter as much as it does.
though that's a different discussion. Um, I if it doesn't matter, then then that's a different discussion because I think that the conference championship should only help your cause. It shouldn't harm you. Is is probably how it should be. But it's taken into account and I don't understand. I can't see a pathway that Georgia would have got in over three other conference champions with
I
also
guess.
with one loss or no losses.
It's just so confusing, dude.
It's so confusing.
This is what
And
Adam tweeted. It was on 3 Sports. It said ESPN's computer generated
oh yes, I saw this.
FPI has updated heading into the playoffs bowl season. Michigan 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Oregon 4, and Adam said the computer FBI should decide the playoff.
I did see that. I did see that. I mean,
No, it is. It's just like even like we're sitting here and just like talking, like I'm even sitting here being like, well, Washington, like if you want the best teams in there, which is like what they say, then like maybe Washington shouldn't be in.
but I don't know because Washington played USC, who at the beginning of the year everybody thought they were going to be good. They beat Oregon twice as one at home, one as a 9-point underdog at a neutral site, and then and they are a conference champion, and they are healthy. Like, there's no reason for them not to be in. They're one
But
of the best. I think they're one of the best 4 teams in the country.
I think
I
that
think
we can
Washington
sit.
is.
I think we can sit here, right now. And is the lines out for these games? Who does Washington play first? Let me take a look at something here.
One bet that I did already take for these bowl games is I already bet on Missouri money line against Ohio State.
Well, you're a hater.
Well, I think about it this way: Ohio State just had 30 guys into the transfer portal.
Dude, relax.
Michigan, Alabama. Michigan is a 1.5-point favorite. Texas, Washington. Washington is a 4.5-point underdog.
Yeah, I mean Washington got lucky. Like they get.
I think Washington
Texas.
can win this game. Like can win that game
because you're playing Texas.
I think Washington could beat Bama.
I don't think so, dude. I think
Washington has NFL wide receivers all over that field.
They have one
and an NFL quarterback.
One NFL wide receiver.
I thought the other guy was going to go to the NFL too.
I mean, he's probably going to go, but like I'm talking about like a legitimate prospect is that one kid I think number 1 or number 11.
Right, but I think the other kid is still good enough to the point where I think it's Polk where you still have to be worried about him. And that Washington defense has stepped up when they needed to. Like they stepped up in that Pac-12 championship game.
Listen, we'll get to see. We'll get to see. We'll get to see in 27 days, 1 minute exactly.
I can't wait.
I have a countdown right here.
Thank God.
But like regardless, to wrap up the conversation and to tie a bow on it, the process of picking the teams to make the college football playoff doesn't really make too overly much sense. And I guess like
it never has. It never has. They used to randomly pick the national championship. They would just put everybody in a bowl game and then say, "Oh, okay, well, Penn State beat Miami, you win the national championship." It wasn't even decided. You wouldn't even know until the next morning.
That's why I think that like I think that they should just like I really think that what should happen, and this is a completely different conversation. I think that the top 50 teams, let's say, or whatever. I don't know how it would exactly work, like numbers wise, but hear me out. You take like the top teams, like the big dogs, put them all into one conference. It's kind of like it's a knock on like professional soccer. Let's put it that way. You have the big league, and then underneath it, you have like the leagues that are like still considered professional and still have an opportunity to rise up in the ranks if they do well enough. And you have teams in the big leagues that if they're not doing well, they can
It's
actually
relegation.
they can like fall. So like
Yeah, relegation.
yeah, so I think that like if they took on that model and then kind of like implemented a system for the playoff as like playoffs as like the NFL does, like for their teams where like you actually have like different like conferences that like matter, and like when you play in those conferences, like I like the fact that you play two teams a year in your division because it actually makes sense. Like like imagine if every year Michigan came to Penn State and Penn State went to Michigan and they had to play each other twice a year. Like the games would mean more and the rivalry would mean more. And I think that it would make for much better television. And like I think that the games would matter. This way you can eliminate Penn State playing UMass, Delaware, this, that, and the third. You can eliminate Michigan playing Central Michigan and Western Michigan and all these shithole teams that like don't really deserve to be on the same field as them, and like make condense it a little bit more, have those games, but like all of the top teams should be playing top teams. Like I think Penn State should be playing Alabama. Like that should be a possibility. Like that's why I think that if you can split off like those teams into like different divisions, like kind of how like the NFL does, and like you play your inner division twice and then play one division in throughout a season, like literally exactly how the NFL does it, but have like that relegation system put in, like you said too, where you can play up into the big leagues. Like I think like it's professional football. It's semi the NFL can't land on a semi-professional football league. I think this is the best opportunity for them to be able to do that for proper development for their players.
I saw a TikTok today of a very, very good breakdown of how college football should be laid out in the future. The only bad thing that I saw was the fact that you would end up playing like 17 or 19 games to be a national championship. And that's a lot for college kids. Going from 13, like 12, 13, 14 to 17, 18, 19.
But you're making the
But
money. Like
you're making the money. I get it.
like
But
the TV deals would be bigger. You would probably be able to negotiate. Like you would
trying to
just
find
make
it.
there'd be more money involved in that situation. And that's why I'm saying like that's fine that all of that happens. And like maybe like for the college quote unquote part of it, you're like a literal part-time student, and like that's fine. You're generating money for the university. That's a positive, and we look at that as a positive, but you have to take 8 credits, or I don't know. I forget how the credit system works because I've been out of school for so long. But
30 years.
yeah, like 30 years. But like I think that like you have to, at this point, what college football is semi-professional football, and you have to start treating it like it. And if you don't, clean it up, it's just going to get worse and worse. And like I think that like somebody needs to step in and make these tough decisions and like improve the game rather than like have shit like this happen where every single analyst in the world was like, oh, like the committee failed and like this is a dark day in college football because they didn't add FSU into the playoff.
I mean, it's not an easy job anyways, because all these teams are realistically good. And I don't know if it gets necessarily easier once you expand it, because you're still going to get those teams on the fringe that like, I don't even know who's at like 13, 14, 15, but you're still going to get teams like that that are like, oh, like we got cheated on this, like we should be in. Now it's going to be probably to a lesser extent because you're not going to have to hear it from like the big name teams, but
But still,
you're still going to have that same group. You're still going to
regardless,
have like a fan base that's pissed off.
that's why you have to allow the teams. Like, that's why I think the only way to handle it is like you have to, and it's not even condensing the schedule because it's going to be an expanded schedule, but making it less about like, well, you didn't throw up 63 on this team, so like we're putting an X next to that. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, why? You should never even, if you put up 63 on a team, then like something should have gone horribly wrong on the other side of the ball for them. Like, that shouldn't be like a normal thing that happens on a week to week basis. But I mean, it's just bad ball, and like that's what happens a lot of it. But I mean, you can close it out of whatever you want to say. I don't have anything else.
No, I mean, I think it's still difficult, and it will continue. There will be they'll continue to have problems, but at the end of the day, we still got college football, and I think these games are actually going to be really good. Like, I think Michigan Alabama is going to be a really good game, and I think Washington Texas is going to be a really good game to watch. Like, I'm really excited for them. But yeah, I'm excited for just bowl season in general. We can talk about that, like matchups and stuff down the road, like at the next pod, because we'll be a little bit closer. But we can wrap it up for now.
Yeah, I guess my next question to you is, what did you think about the hire for Penn State's offensive coordinator, because they hired the guy from Kansas?
So he made that Kansas offense look phenomenal. They had some like video game numbers as far as yards per game, yards per play, points, and I think he clearly knows how to run an offense when he has guys that can't, like that he had at Kansas. I think it ultimately just comes down to, can he build an offense around Drew Aller, because Drew Aller is not the same type of quarterback that he had when he was OC at Kansas. Like, those
Not
two
at all.
guys were much more mobile, were moving around way more in the pocket, more so of like a RPO type, and that's not Drew Aller's strength. So I think he was a good OC. I think just from watching Kansas, they were really fun to watch. Like I said, I think it just really depends on, can he build this offense around Drew Aller and put Drew Aller and the playmakers that they have in space and get them the ball effectively. I mean, clearly they can do that when they don't play Michigan and when they don't play Ohio State, but they have to be able to do it all year. So I think he's a good OC. I think it'll probably be a good hire, but it just depends on him adapting to a new situation.
Very well said. I'll take your word for it.
Because like I actually watched Kansas play, and they're fun, and they would whip the ball, like they would sling it. And if they can end up doing something like that at Penn State, then the Penn State offense will actually be fun to watch, and you won't want to rip your eyes out whenever they play like a good team. So we'll see. I'm not getting too high or too low, but because I just don't know. All of these OCs that we get can come in and can run an offense against goddamn Rutgers and Maryland, and then we play
Yeah, I could
Michigan.
do that.
Yeah, exactly. And then we play Michigan and
I
Ohio
won.
State.
I won 3 straight Super Bowls with the Patriots.
Exactly.
I could go out there and run an offense against Rutgers.
Yeah, and that's what it. I mean, we know every single year what it comes down to. So we'll see.
Fuck James Franklin. Okay, let's get into
I think
it.
Penn State needs to get needs to pick up a receiver or two in the transfer portal, but we'll save that for later too.
Well, me and you, we have some years left.
We both have 4 years of eligibility, so I'll go get my master's if need be. My MBA.
I'll get my associates. Okay. Let's get into this week. Probably one of the worst Thursday night games of all time. Colton's going to this because he's a rat. What a weird game to like want to go to.
To spend your money on, to go watch no points.
We asked Colton to go to Atlanta a few weeks ago to watch Atlanta versus the Vikings, and he was like complete crickets. So, but he'll go to the Steelers game. I guess his girl has tickets. That guy has no chance. Anyway,
What a shame. I
this,
would rather watch fucking paint dry than this game.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna watch it though.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a real geeker.
I want the Patriots to lose this game. I want the Patriots to lose this game because I want them to have a top pick, but I have a really weird feeling that they might win this game. But I do think that having this at +6 with Trubisky as your quarterback is like low key crazy. So if I were to have any lean on the game, would definitely be the under and Patriots +6.
Oh, this game's gonna be like maybe 12-3. So take that as you please. That would definitely be an under. But also, like, I just don't see the Steelers apparently are going to sling it around with Trubisky. Apparently, he likes to throw it, so like maybe just take him to have an interception too. But there's no reason for him to be a 6-point favorite. This game's just going to suck so bad. So bad.
I mean, they were a 6-point favorite last week to the Cardinals and got beat 24-10. So I don't think that it's
the
really
Patriots covered 5.5 last week. So.
Yeah, and I don't think that I think 6 is just too long. So I really do like that. Okay, it took everything in my body not to moan right there. But anyway, next game. Rams at Ravens. Ravens -7.5. And this is another situation where I think that this spread's a little too big. The Rams can score.
Pause.
I wouldn't play the Rams side, but I wouldn't be offended if somebody did. But I do like the over in this game.
Yeah, since Matt Stafford's gotten back, the Rams have kind of been slinging it around. This Ravens defense is very serious, though. In Baltimore, I don't know. The Rams have been
Ravens first half too. Whatever it is, I'm taking it. But
the Rams have been playing really well lately. I'd probably tease this down a little bit. I think the Rams are probably going to cover 7.5 here. I think they're in a good. I feel like that's kind of a lot for them.
I respect that.
Also, the Ravens were just on a bye and are coming off a lot of rest. So,
yeah, Ravens first half for me. I think that's a lock.
I'm switching it. I'm taking the Ravens. I think they're going to come out there and win by 10.
Next game, don't want to spend too much time on it. Panthers Saints. Panthers suck. Saints by 5.5 is pretty crazy. Jameis is going to be slugging it, but I just don't think the Panthers are going to win another game this season. They're not very good.
I don't think they are either. They have an actual incentive to win games too because they don't have their pick. But they are just so bad.
It's an old-fashioned play away.
Yeah. This game is a ultimate stinker. But I mean, if I have to pick, I'm going Saints.
Next game, Indianapolis Colts at Bengals. Easy. This is a very easy decision for me. I think that Shane Steichen's probably one of the best head coaches hires in the league in the past few years. He's a dog. What he's doing with this team. After losing Anthony Richardson, I don't think anybody really gave them a shot. They're firmly in the playoff picture. I think that they go into Cincinnati and beat them. I know that probably this last week is really going to have like a big, like everybody's going to be like, well, Jake Browning came out and balled. I'm betting against Jake Browning every chance that I get. Like if a backup quarterback's in, so I like the Colts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to pick every game the same as you, but I like the Colts here a lot too. I mean, the Bengals had such a lucky bounce, and Jake Browning he went like 23 for like 26.
Yeah.
Everything pretty much went their way, and he played a hell of a game. I really don't see that happening again. I mean, he could have a great game, but I don't see a situation where they end up getting a quarterback where a quarterback gets hurt. Knock on wood. But yeah, I like the Colts here too.
I like Colts -1.5 plus 100. I just think it's good value. Next game, Jacksonville versus Cleveland. I'm gonna come out and report that Christian Kirk is out for the rest of the season. He's done. He's not gonna play again this year. Unfortunate injury. Absolutely pisses me off because I jinxed him. I literally said the guy's made of iron last week, and then he gets a testicular coercion and is out for the rest of the season. I can also report that Trevor Lawrence is going to be out for the remainder of the regular season. They are going to try to stay afloat, get Trevor fully healthy, sneak into a wild card spot, and play upset to somebody. But you're not going to see T-Law. You're not going to see C. Kirk.
CJ Beathard.
This game is going to be Joe Flacco versus CJ Beathard. Absolute stay away from me. I have no interest in betting it.
I will also probably stay away from this game, but part of me wants to take the Jags at +3. I just don't know. I think their defense has like kind of been turning up, and I think you can get to Flacco a little bit. He was kind of slinging it, but eventually the Rams just started breaking away. And obviously the Rams team with Matt Stafford's a little different than the Jags with CJ Beathard, but I don't know. I kind of like them to keep it close.
I like that. I agree. Next game. This is for the first in the division, kind of wrapping up the division low key. Tampa Bay versus the Falcons. I will say that I do like the Falcons in this spot. I just trust how they play. I know that a lot of people probably wouldn't fully agree with that statement, but I trust the way that the vision is for this team and how they're going to attack certain squads. And I think that their secondary matches up well against what they like to do, and that's throw the ball deep to Mike Evans and whoever else is open deep. And I think that Jesse Bates has been playing out of his mind. So I think that that's going to be able to kind of counteract. So I like the Falcons in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, another one, I'm right there with you. I think that realistically, the only thing the Bucs are decent at is throwing it to Mike Evans, which is kind of unfortunate because like I feel like we haven't heard a lot about Chris Godwin this season.
I think he's hurt, bro. Either that or he's done. I mean, there's really, I know that sounds like crazy to say, but he's either hurt or like he's not very good anymore. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it.
I'm looking here. He had a neck the other night. So
I don't know what he has, but he doesn't look good.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, I'm right there with you on the Falcons. If this is an opportunity for the Falcons to wrap it up, I think they come in fired up. I think they come in and execute and get the job done, seal up that division. The Bucs just really don't have anything. We're kind of getting to like the point in the season where teams are starting to figure out, hey, do we have a chance? Is there really what do we have to play for besides just playing spoiler? And I kind of feel like the Bucs are like right at that point.
I'm right with you. Next game, Detroit Lions at Chicago. This is, for me personally, is a really easy game to predict. I'm gonna take the Bears to win outright over the Lions. The splits between Jared Goff inside of the dome and outside in inclement weather in cold weather at Soldier Field. I'm taking that every day of the week. I like the Chicago Bears to beat the Lions in the spot. I think the Lions are on kind of a little bit of a decline, and I think that you see some mistakes from Jared Goff in this situation, and I like the Bears to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there. I like the over too. I think the Lions will still probably put up some points, but it feels like the Lions can't play a lick of defense. I think DJ Moore has a pretty big game. And didn't the Bears like almost beat the Lions earlier in the year?
Well, they were up. They were up and they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to come back and beat them in Detroit. So
Yeah, I
it
think
was
the Bears get their lick back here.
yeah, for sure. Next game, Houston Texans at the Jets. I think the Jets are dead. I think the Texans comfortably cover this number at 5.5. If you want to make the playoffs, which they have genuine aspirations to go ahead and make the playoffs this season, I know the Tank Dell injury hurts, but I don't think it hurts them that bad. They still have Nico Collins. They still have playmakers. They still have CJ Stroud. I like the Texans here minus 5.5. I think that they win by a touchdown.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come into this matchup saying. I think the Texans probably end up winning this game by a touchdown too. Really unfortunate for our guy Tank Dell. Hopefully he gets well and has a healthy recovery. I don't really know. Didn't he get hurt on like some stupid ass play where he was like a lead blocker in a run play?
Yeah, it sucks. It's
Yeah,
not great.
That's like a what the hell are you doing moment from a offensive coordinator that has done a good job this year. Like, why would you make your 145-pound slot speedster receiver a lead blocker on any play? So that doesn't really make much sense to me. But like you said, they still got some guys. Nico Collins stepped all the way up in that game last weekend, so
he's good. He's really good.
Yeah, he is. I like the Texans to cover a touchdown here too.
Next game, Seahawks at 49ers. My initial thought on this game is I think everybody in the world is just going to be on the Niners in this situation extremely heavily due to the matchup 2 weeks ago in Seattle, them kind of handling business. The Niners going into Philly last week, boat racing them. I think the Seahawks are getting healthy. I think that they're getting Kenny Walker back this week. Their O-line looks back. I think that they're going to be playing a more inspired style of football with that game that they played against the Cowboys last week. And I think 10.5 is entirely too many points. So I think Seahawks plus 10.5 for me is the play here.
Another one where I'm like right there with you. I think this line is so high just because of what we saw the Niners do to the Eagles last week, but I feel like they're not really paying attention to what happened in that Seahawks game. Like they looked so much better.
The Cowboys were double-digit favorites against the Seahawks as well. The Seahawks almost went and won outright. So I think if you have a set of nuts and you're feeling like confident about something, slapping the Seahawks money line here at plus 420, like if you sprinkle it, like I don't think it'll hurt anybody, but plus 10.5, like I think is a big lock.
Yeah, this is the standing on business game for DK Metcalf versus Deebo Samuel. So I want to see who's going to stand on more business.
It'll be Christian McCaffrey.
I've hoped that it's DK and he stands on all the business, but I think 10.5 is too much. I think although that pass rush looked good for the Niners, I think that I'm pretty sure that Geno has like the quickest release as far as not physically throwing it, but from when he gets the snap and reads the defense, I think he gets rid of the ball faster than anybody else. I think that bodes really well for them as far as negating some of that pass rush. So yeah, I kind of like that matchup.
I think one big takeaway that I didn't bring it up at the beginning of the pod because it kind of slipped my mind, but like if you watch that game last week, like the Eagles offensive line actually combated the 49ers pass rush like really well. And they were making a lot of plays and giving Jalen Hurts a ton of time. So I kind of think that like that could be replicated, not to the same extent, because I think that the Eagles have a far superior offensive line, but with the Seahawks offensive line getting healthier and better as the weeks go on, I think that, like you said, like Geno can kind of get the ball out quick and do what he needs to do and keep this game close.
I also think there was plenty of times when Jalen Hurts jumped out of the pocket a little sooner than he needed to, and I don't think we will see that necessarily with Geno. I think he'll stand in there a little bit longer if he has to, and sort of deliver to whoever is open at that point. And also, it's tough for a secondary to match up against these three receivers. I mean, the Eagles really only have two, which obviously they're two good ones, but not having Dallas Goedert, but that's a different story. I think I like the Seahawks plus 10.5 here.
Next game, complete stay away for me. I just don't think that the Vikings are playing a great brand of football currently, even with getting Justin Jefferson back. The Josh Dobbs aura has kind of worn off as of right now. The Raiders play a weird style of football. You kind of never know what you're going to get out of them, but I know that if you bet on the Raiders, you're going to watch Aiden O'Connell do absolutely nothing and then punt it away. So I'm probably a complete stay away from this game. If I had to pick, I'd probably think that the Vikings could win outright, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I think this Linsanity run might be over for Josh Dobbs. I hate betting on the Raiders though.
Yeah.
But I think I would still probably take them plus 3.
I respect that. Next game, Denver Broncos at Los Angeles Chargers. For me, what the heck? For me,
I have FanDuel pulled up on my laptop too, and that same shit just happened.
For me personally, I think the Broncos kind of always find a way to keep these games close, and it's literally down to like the last possession on either side. I haven't seen anything from the Chargers as of right now to kind of feel comfortable about anything from their team as a whole. So I would definitely lean Broncos money line in this situation, but I think plus 2.5 is probably a pretty safe play as well.
I hate that I'm agreeing, like I'm on the same page as you for like everything here, because I also am right there with you with the Broncos. We haven't seen it from the Chargers. Although if they ever were in a spot back against the wall, needed to win a football game, I think it's these next 5. For the sake of not picking the same team as you again, I'm going to take the Chargers, but I don't feel I wouldn't take a spread. I would just take them straight up, but I don't feel great about that.
The next game is probably going to be America's favorite game of the week. This is probably my least favorite game of the week. Two teams I absolutely hate, the Bills and the Chiefs, but from a side in this situation is the Bills. I'm going to take them outright on their money line. I just think that Josh Allen and the Bills offense have far more firepower than what the Chiefs do at this point in the season. What the Bills do really well on the defensive side of the football is kind of contain the run. If you can contain Isaiah Pacheco and make them kind of beat you through the air, which is crazy to say because they have Patrick Mahomes, but if you don't allow them to get that run game going, and even if they do get it going, I don't think that they have enough firepower to fire back at the Bills in this offense. So I like the Bills money line against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I am right there as well. Unfortunately, I think the Bills need this game if they want a shot at making the playoffs. And I think Josh Allen will finally get one of those like signature games against a big name quarterback. I think it's going to be this week, so I'm taking the Bills. Also, I just got a notification that the Yankees are trading for Alex Verdugo from the Red Sox, and I am not happy about it.
Yeah, fuck them. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's good, bad, or ugly, but if you don't like it, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
Next
because
game. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say it's unfortunate because he's a Red Sox, and it doesn't feel great.
No pride anymore.
No, it doesn't feel great for them getting. Although actually, it might not be bad if they get this guy Verdugo and then they trade him for Soto. I'm in.
That's what they're gonna do.
I hope so.
Next game, probably game of the year, honestly.
It's
Cowboy.
unfortunate that it is at 8:20. I'll be
Why?
having this up on my phone when we're at the concert.
Oh fuck!
Yeah,
What,
I know. I realized that this week, and I was like, "Dang, that's unfortunate," but
bro?
we'll figure it out.
What the fuck, bro? I completely forgot about that. But fuck,
Yeah,
game of the year. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, we'll be at the Travis Scott concert. Can't wait. It's gonna be electric.
yeah, it
I
will be.
need to hit the merch tent because I need that one beanie that's at the thing. Um, Different topic, but this, I think that this game is obviously going to be amazing. I think 52.5 is absurd. So right away, I'm going to say under 52.5. That's entirely too many points in a primetime matchup. The next thing that I'm going to say is I think that the Cowboys win this game outright because I think that it's only right that two teams this great that play each other twice a year split it. If,
Cowboys also have coming off of 10 days of rest.
yeah. And on top of that, if the Eagles play the way that we said that they need to play on earlier in the pod, control the rock, run the football, keep it messy, then I would feel a little bit more comfortable about taking the Eagles. But right now, until they kind of show that they're willing to commit to that style of play in a big game against a caliber team like this, let me rephrase that. And like I said, they already played each other once. The Eagles won barely. So, like I said, I like the Cowboys in this spot just because I think that they split, but I could also see the Eagles winning.
Yeah, I mean, for the sake of it, I'm never picking against my team, but I do realistically think this is this is a spot where the Eagles end up losing. 10 days rest for the Cowboys, sort of get a little bit of revenge for that loss in the first game. Um, they always pretty much split 1-1 during the season.
It's a great,
Um,
bro. It's just a great. It's two
it's
great
going to be
teams,
a
great
great game.
matchup.
I
Like,
will say though, I will say that I think I like over 52.5.
hmm, interesting.
Um, I think the Eagles defense got absolutely cooked last week, obviously. I think we might see Dak kind of go off too. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I always feel like the games when they're in Dallas are way more high scoring than when they're in Philadelphia.
I respect that. I will.
So I kind of like the over. I think realistically this game could end up being like 35-32.
Bro, I'll say right now, like, and I don't care. Like, I think Dak. I think I've said it already, and if I did, I'm sorry. Dak's got to be one of the most my favorite quarterbacks to watch in the NFL right now. Like, he's so good, and like he's playing with such a confidence that like a lot of these guys aren't. And I just love this. Like, I genuinely like love to see it, and he's really entertaining to watch. He gets literally every player involved on that offense, and like, yeah, I think if Dak has a big night against the Eagles, like I think that he's firmly in the MVP frontrunner conversation, like by far.
Oh yeah, I mean he is. I'm seeing him one in some sports books and tied for second in others. So like he's definitely up there. Um, yeah, I mean I got to give him his props. He's been playing really well. He started off kind of slow, but these last couple weeks he's been really dialed in and has been
He's
spreading the ball
he's a
very
dog.
well. I mean I think CeeDee Lamb's probably going to have CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson might have 20 total catches for like 220 yards combined. So I'm just mentally preparing myself for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game to watch. But next game, Tennessee at Miami. Miami's firmly in the 1 seed. I will say though, they did handle business last week against the Commanders. I do think the Commanders suck. Kind of got overblown. All the moves that they made at the deadline, like they're done this year. I don't think the Titans are done this year. So I think that they can keep it within this 13.5 point spread. So that would be my pick. I know that that's probably like hard to take when you like look at the Dolphins. You're like, oh, but they have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, blah blah blah. Like I get that, but there's also been times that they've been long double digit favorites over teams and have won by less than a touchdown. So I just think the Titans probably come in this game a little fired up, and 13.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you mentioned that you don't think the Titans are done. I mean, they're still like competing, which I respect, but they're not gonna. This season is not gonna end in anything substantial. I don't think. Like, I don't think they end up in a
By done,
playoff
I mean they're not you'll never see the Titans.
They're not hanging it up. Yeah, that's
like,
a culture. That's a culture thing. So
yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
However, the Dolphins beat up on bad teams. I think the Titans are a bad team.
Well, what about when they played the Raiders 2 weeks ago and they were 14.5 point favorites and they won by 6?
I wasn't done.
Sorry, my bad.
Thank you. What I was gonna say is, I still think they end up winning this game by double digits. I would probably tease this down to like 9.5, so you win and you can win by 10. I think they probably end up winning by 10. I mean, in the Titans' best interest, they just slow this game down as much as possible, and that's probably their best bet at covering 13.5. But also, I don't know what the Titans secondary is looking like. And I think that the Dolphins are going to just try and force feed Tyreek Hill the ball the rest of the year so he can get to that 2,000 mark. So
I hope so.
I'm just going to keep taking Tyreek Hill yards until the end of the season or until he gets 2,000. So
I hope I'm
keep an eye on that.
I'm praying to God he gets it.
I am too. It would be awesome.
Next game, Packers -6.5. Mortal lock on the board is Packers to win by more than a touchdown.
Yeah.
The Giants, like, I know that Tommy DeVito kind of rounded into form a little bit in his last game, but you have a very rare opportunity to take these teams who are on their third string quarterback. Like, you have to like actually take advantage of that. You might not feel comfortable doing it, but any team that like last week, me and my dad, we cooked up a plus 252 parlay. It was fade Tim Boyle, fade who was it? Who'd the Rams play? Fade Joe
Browns.
Flacco and who played last week, man? Hold on, let me take a look at something here. Oh, it was the Falcons.
Falcons, Jets, Browns, Rams.
It was the Chargers against Bailey Zappi. It was the Falcons against Tim Boyle, and it was the Rams against Joe Flacco. I know it like it. If your team's on their third string quarterback, even second, like bet against them. I mean, especially in these short spreads, like it's just like why not? Like at that point, like the healthier team with the quarterback should be able to take care of business. So that's something that I'm looking to do probably for like the rest of the year for the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a safe bet. That first game that team sort of throws in that backup quarterback. Now, I know that wasn't the instance with the Browns this week, but it always feels like they're a little bit friskier than normal. But once you kind of get to that second, third, maybe fourth game with that backup, is when you really start to see those big spreads. And 6.5 isn't like gigantic, but with the way that the Packers are playing, I really like this number, and I think they end up winning this game too. I think 6.5 is great right now. I think it'll end up going up.
I mean, what'd they beat the Chiefs by?
I don't even remember.
I think 10 points, right?
Was it? I legit don't remember.
Let me take a look at something here.
It was 27-19.
Okay, so almost 10 points, but still. Yeah, I think that if they can beat the Chiefs by more than a touchdown, I think that they can beat the Giants by more than a touchdown.
Yeah. Yep, I'm right there with you.
All right, well, that's pretty much it. We have a big Travis concert this weekend that we need to dial in for. I'll be ready to go. Obviously, I got the set list cranked on the speakers this week, just getting focused and
It's
yeah,
practice.
yeah,
You've karaoke set up. You got all the lyrics,
yeah.
videos pulled up. You're dialed in.
Yeah, I just need there's one hat that I need from the merch tent and I'll be good.
I need to see that.
It's fire. It's like two angels on a beanie. It's like gas as fuck. I need it. Like pretty bad. One last thing that I want to touch on is did you play the new Fortnite?
I haven't played it yet. I had to update it yesterday, and then that took a while. So I've been playing Call of Duty.
Dude, what are you doing, man?
I'm Call of Duty at my roots, but I also had to wait for Fortnite to update. I'm probably gonna play at some point this week, but obviously I couldn't play today. More important things, but I will play it. I've been watching videos. The map looks sick. You can't obviously tell that the movement is rough when you're watching, because it all kind of looks the same. But I'm sure it'll be a little different when you're playing. I sent you this on Instagram. We've got the weekend coming to
Yeah,
Fortnite,
I need that skin though.
which is kind of cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to see like what all the. It looks like it's going to be like an event.
Yeah, it's like they announced it. So honestly, first off, the map's sick, like everything's cool, like it just sucks when you had like the OG map back and all the old guns and then like you switch it and like everything, like literally you're playing an absolute brand new game with all new shit in it. And it's just like such a shock at first. It's not
Right.
bad, but it's not like it's just different. And but during the event they announced like a Minecraft like
I saw that.
sandbox Lego world that's going to be like Lego Minecraft pretty much, which like that sounds pretty cool like for the kids and shit. And then the other thing that they announced was Rocket League is going to be in the game, and then the last thing is they're going to be doing like all of these like virtual event concerts like in Fortnite, and like Dua Lipa, Lady Gaga, and The Weeknd are like the first like big like event that they're doing. Which like Fortnite's
Doesn't get much bigger
insane.
than that. Yeah, that's
Fortnite's
impressive.
literally crazy. Like so good for them, and yeah, like it's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, they're really good at doing collabs, and I think it's a little easier for them to do it than like Call of Duty, um, just because Fortnite like just looks more kid friendly, and just like cartoonish. Which I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I just think it's easier for them to sort of incorporate all these other collabs into the game. So
I just think
that's pretty cool. That's insane. Dua Lipa, The Weeknd, and Lady Gaga. That's three huge names.
I just
Dua
think
Lipa's also single, so Dua,
oh yeah,
if you're listening to this, let me know.
Andrew sent me a tweet that was like Dua Lipa single, big for my boy Steve, who likes all of her pictures on Instagram. Like
I saw that.
I was like, dude, like fuck you, bro. But I
That
think like Fortnite like has built themselves in a way to kind of like get away with like doing it. They can do like anything they want because of like how they
anything.
built it. Like with COD, it's like more like hardened and like you can't get away with like, oh, like, hey, we're gonna be doing a a weekend concert. Everybody on
Yeah,
COD,
that would be
what the
so
fuck are
awkward.
you
It wouldn't fit at
talking about?
all. Yeah,
Like
it wouldn't
Fortnite
feel.
established it like really quick. Like, hey, we're gonna do this marshmallow concert. Like,
Dude,
so
that concert was crazy. So was the
bro,
Travis Scott one.
literally all
Did you
jokes
get the
aside,
AP?
it was so listen, did you look at the collab on Travis's
Uh,
website?
I saw the stuff on Instagram, but I have the website pulled up right now.
Hold on. Hold on real quick.
Do I have to go to the Utopia shop? Oh yeah, here
Hold
it is.
here, I'll pull it up on our screen so the viewers can look.
Oh, this watch is fucked.
If people are this far at this point.
The real ones are this far.
First off, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
He doesn't miss. He never misses with this shit, dude. Like, this branding is fucking crazy as hell.
Yeah.
And then this is the shop. You can see this?
Yep.
You can see the shop?
Oh no, right now it just shows like the oh, you got to switch it to the other tab.
Imagine, dude.
The Royal Oak. Or it's sold out.
Yeah. This
Yep,
is
there it
this
is.
was 200K sold out, 200 pieces. Like, dude, this watch
so
is
crazy.
insane. And then, like, bro, like this ashtray, bro.
I was literally just looking at that. It's so sick. 250 is a lot for an ashtray though, but it is with AP, so like I get it. This leather jacket goes crazy.
This joint.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everything. Like, if you like, I mean,
Get this blanket,
bro,
at the bottom, 300.
there's so much I want from this. Like, these like AP pajama pants are fucking stupid.
Silk, the silk
Like,
PJs.
Like, it's just like, it's crazy. I know that, like, I mean, I don't know how a lot of people feel about Travis, but like, everybody hated on him like super hard and said that he was like gonna fall off, and he literally came back, dropped Utopia, and isn't doing the McDonald's collabs anymore. He's dropping fucking APs and putting out a whole fucking clothing line with Artemar. So for people that thought the Travis shit was gonna fall off, I think he's stronger than ever.
I think he's also probably got some more Nikes in the work too.
Yeah, he has some coming out. I'm not like a big fan of them, but I get the point of them. They're not like his like OG style, but yeah, I mean, again, I don't think he misses on those collabs. I've never seen one of the collabs and been like, man, like that's pretty corny. Like, it's just always good, it feels like.
Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff.
That's all I got, brother, unless if you got anything else you want to talk about.
No, I think we're good. I think next week I want to just touch on like the actual bowl game matchups. Just since we'll be right around there. But looking forward to this concert. It's going to be a good time. Go Birds.
Concert will be electric. I'll see you this weekend.
All righty.
See ya.